Good evening, everyone. Before we open the meeting tonight, we're going to have a brief presentation from our animal control Chief Kennedy.
Yeah, tonight we have Roy Hayward from our animal control. He's out southwest, or Shaycog Animal Control, Mount Lebanon. And he's going to speak tonight to the residents about what he has to offer our community, and if there's any questions he can answer. Roy?
Thank you, Your Honor, for inviting us. We appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and your community. My name is Roy Hayward. I'm an animal control officer for the Mount Lebanon Police Department, which is the administrator for SHECAC, which is South Hills Cooperative Animal Control. We're now doing 12 communities in the South Hills. We just picked up Carnegie last January, and we've been servicing your community. One of the things that we're trying to do is become more proactive with different communities that we're supporting. And we're trying to offer you suggestions on how to avoid nuisance animals. We understand that there's a concern with the coyotes that are now in the communities. And they're in every community. They're in Mount Lebanon, Upper St. Clair. I had to take care of one in Crafton for the Pittsburgh police in February that had been hit by a vehicle. The thing I can tell you about coyotes, and I want to hit this one, I guess, first, is that they're not an aggressive animal. And if you go back and think about it, when was the last time you heard of a coyote biting somebody or attacking somebody? 2 years ago, we had an issue in North Park, which turned out to be a group of wild dogs that was handled by the Pennsylvania Game Commission. So what I always advise people is to be aware that they're in the area, and then we do everything we can to avoid them. And by avoiding the coyotes, you're going to avoid the raccoons, the skunks, the groundhogs, and all the other little vermin that goes along with that in the fur bearing. One of the easiest things that you can do is to keep your garbage. Don't put it out until the morning of your service, and I'm talking primarily foodstuffs from the house, feminine hygiene products, diapers. These are all contain proteins, and these are an easy source for animals, and the coyotes will dig right in there with the rest of them. The other issue you want to be aware of is running water, ponding water. At night, if you have a running water outside where you're having for decorative purposes, for your like fish, koi, that type of thing, primarily what you want to do is put that pump on a timer, turn the timer off about 9 o'clock in the evening, have to come back on 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. That way your water's not getting all cloudy, and you still have the service of the pond itself. The last thing is bird feeders. Bird feeders create a drive-through, just like our McDonald's. When you have the bird feeders out, the birds come along and they scatter seed on the ground. Seed is a very high source of protein, and one of the common cores for all wildlife is protein. It gives them a lot of body energy, and it gives them the endurance to carry on. So when you have a bird feeder out, and we've been struggling with this because we don't want to ban, we don't want to tell people that they can't have a bird feeder. What we want to do is have them come back and say, if you have a bird feeder, you're creating a problem. And it's not necessarily just a problem that you're dealing with, it's a problem your neighbors are going to have to deal with on either side. The animals come into the house, they get closer to the house. You've got birds, and if you have the birds feeding, like I said, it spills the seed on the ground. Then you're going to have rodents. You're going to have rats, mice, chipmunks, squirrels. And guess what all these animals live off of? Or everything I just named. So now you're creating a combined packed area where these animals will come in to hunt. The other issue to be aware of is feral cats. And feral cats are the #2 carrier of rabies in the state of Pennsylvania. And we do have some people that go out and spay and neuter, and they take the animal back out and release them, but they still can cause damage. And the other problem with feral cats is they can become aggressive. They're territorial, and if they get cornered, they have no problem of turning and fighting. I've been bit through a pair of boots, so it's not, it's something I always tell people to be cautious of. And again, if you follow keeping the garbage to a minimum, you keep the animals from coming in closer. And the other problem with putting out bird feeders is you handle bird feed, the human scent gets on the bird feed. When the bird feed goes down, these animals come in, and they get used to that human scent. Now, you're no longer a fear factor, you're now a food source. so the animals don't run away like when you come out and shake the door or make a noise. So one of the things you want to do if you know you have these animals in your area is if you're putting the dog outside or you're walking down to the car later in the evening, you want to make some noise, turn the light on, and that's usually enough to distract them and make them move on. We don't do anything with coyotes. They're under the auspice of the Pennsylvania Game Commission. And one of the concerns we have right now is the Pennsylvania Game Commission was talking about putting a bounty on coyotes. The concern we had is the day that they were talking about putting the bounty, we started finding people using lake hold traps in Castle Shannon, and we removed several. And these people were putting them in really, there wasn't a lot of thought going into it. They were putting them along the trail that kids use to shortcuts. They were putting them in the backyards of other neighbors' houses, and you always have to worry about cats and other animals getting caught in these traps, because once they get caught in the lake hole, it's very difficult without putting a lot of trauma on the animal to remove it from the lake hole. So that's another consideration we have. I don't know what the answer is for how to deal with them, but I can tell you that they normally, in this area, do not hunt in a pack. If you see more than one, if it's during the mating season, you'll see one or two together. They'll break off, and then in the spring, you'll see the mother with two pups. And the pups get very big very quickly, so it's hard to tell an adult from a pup until you get close and you see the teeth. But that is usually what happens, and the biggest thing there is to stay, don't get between the mother and the pup, because then you're going to have an issue there. Do you have any questions at this point that I can answer?
Do you call if you see a coyote or nothing? Just stay
No,
away?
you just be aware that they're there. You can call the Pennsylvania Game Commission in the Southwest Division, and they will contact their officers. I used to be a deputy in this area. I was a deputy for 21 years. And we didn't have coyotes when I started. They're just a phenomenon within the last 20 years, pretty much in this area. But we have them in St. Clair. We have them in Mount Lebanon. Exactly. Scott Township. Everybody has coyotes in the communities, and they're usually a nocturnal when they're hunting. They're out early morning when you get that gray, and you really can't see color. And they come out late in the evening. Again, when it's like a gray color like about now, this is when they do priming their most of their hunting. So those are the time frames you want to be aware of.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
do these coyotes, they attack the deer?
They will go after small deer. They're actually what they refer to as a mouser. They actually go with small animals. Cats are probably one of their biggest, easiest prey. One of the problems in Carnegie is you have no ordinances on cats, so we really can't help you with strays.
Well, with that, I had suggested that you take a look at our ordinances.
Yes.
Perhaps you could give us some suggested ordinances that we should be in, that should be in place that would be more helpful to us.
I was going to contact the chief because one of my goals this year, every year we have set goals. Each officer has to present some different community assets. One of the things we're looking at is doing away with the cat law altogether and have a nuisance law. And basically, if you create a nuisance or a nuisance animal, so that way it could be a cat, we wouldn't have to have security. Unfortunately, cats do not come in under state law. Okay, dogs are under state law. The only time a cat comes under state law is under the Public Safety Act, and that is for rabies. So now any animal that's 3 months of age or older has to be inoculated for rabies at least once in its life. And the health department wants it annually. Now, they don't even want to do it 3 years. They want to do it every year. So, but we kind of go along. The person's putting the effort in to have the animal inoculated. We don't do that. Any other questions? But we are going to be back to you because what we're going to do is we're going to have all 12 communities that we handle. And because Mount Lebanon is another agency that does not have a cat ordinance. And every year we have a lot of problems with cats doing damage, getting into the houses, tearing up outdoor furniture, defecating, leaving dead animals in the presence on back porches, that type of thing. So we are looking into this, but we want to have everybody on the same page, and we want to have the other problem we have is people creating colonies. We have 2 in Whitehall right now, for example, that have over 10 animals each. One of the things we're looking at addressing is if somebody is creating a problem like that, we want to have part of the ordinances charged with that person to come back and clean up. So what I've been doing, and myself with the cat issue, is I give the person that's created the problem the opportunity to participate. We give them the tools to remove the animal. That way they can take it to the Humane Society and they can find a decent animal that can be readopted. Unfortunately, a lot of these animals, like I said, cats can be very aggressive and you have to handle them very carefully. It's like 20 razor blades. So it can be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, but again, if you could just take a look at our
Yeah.
general ordinance, everything that applies to animals. You're the expert, you're the professional, so
Well, within the next 6 to 8 weeks, the chief will be getting a letter from us, and we'll be dealing with the Department of Public Works, and we're going to put an ordinance together for everybody, and that way everybody can work together, and we can help the problem. Our goal, we handle, and to put it in perspective, we do 4,000 to 5,000 nuisance animal calls a year. We work 7 days a week, every holiday, we have an officer on duty, and we're here for you guys to, whatever services you need from us, we want to make it happen for you. We're very pleased to.
thank you.
Is there any other questions or anything on this? Yes, ma'am.
You said one window, one at a time.
Yes, ma'am.
Why not that?
Because of the hunting environment here, it's a rich hunting environment, there's a lot of activity. Because of the older communities, there's a lot of rat population. And as I mentioned, coyotes are a mouser, which means they like very small animals. They want to be able to come in, get the meal, and leave and go on to other things.
How large is every area?
They're actually moving, they don't stay in a given area. And one of the best monitors that you can use for coyotes, if you have turkeys in the area, usually there's not going to be a lot of coyote activity. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I got it back. If there's turkeys are there, then the coyotes are there. But when the turkeys go and they'll move, the coyotes follow the turkey herds.
That much?
Yes, yes. We have one, in fact, we have one in Mount Lebanon, the lady ran over the tail, and when we got there to get it, the tail was pulled off. And we've seen him as far away as Green Tree. And we can pick him up because his tail's only that long, so we call him Stubby. And he's always around, but, we try to keep an eye on him, so there's no trouble. But, just be aware that
What's the mating season?
the mating season is just finishing up. They should be having the little ones within the next, predators are born first. They're usually February, March. And then the smaller animals are usually born in May and June. So that gives them foodstuffs for the predator. Any other questions?
Sir, I have one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that right there? Yes. Skunks. We would get a number of skunks in the community, and I have a couple families of skunks living relatively close to me.
Unfortunately, skunks we don't do.
Right.
Because the skunks,
Unfortunately.
the best thing, well, actually, there's only one predator of the skunk, and that's the great horned owl. Okay, that's the only animal that's.
So we need to bring in some owls.
We need to bring in some owls, but we do have some people that are licensed by the Pennsylvania Game Commission. They do charge for their service. We have one individual specifically that whenever we get an animal in one of our traps, we call him in and he removes it for us. One of the primary problems is they discharge in our vehicle because our primary mission is for domestic animals. And if the disease that they're carrying, and I've been sprayed, and I can tell you that it's very unpleasant. I spent 3 days in the hospital, and I lost 40% of my sense of smell.
And that's my biggest worry. I have kids and they're outside
Yes.
playing. Sometimes at night, those skunks will run right through the yard. They
Yes.
don't live in my area, but in my yard, but they'll run right through the yard, and the kids are out there playing. And I'm like, how dangerous is that if they're going to get sprayed, and are they rabies carriers?
They are part of the rabies vector family. The biggest fear with them is the fact that they do have to spray. It's not an aggressive animal. Loud noise, startling, that's what gets them to spray. The actual spray in normal circumstances is like a puff, like a cloud, like you see on a cartoon, and it just kind of mists, but it's very tacky. And once it gets on your skin or your clothing, it stays, and it doesn't come off real easy. But I can get you a name of the person, and I'll let them know who you are.
Well,
Take care of you.
yeah, I don't know if it's in a neighbor's house, so I don't know if.
Well, the other thing too is one of the problems we've been finding out, like in Green Tree, Whitehall, Bethel Park, they have issues where we've trapped so many raccoons out. And when the raccoon population sinks, it seems like the skunk population takes off. The two animals do vie for the same environment and the same food sources. So we try to balance that out, to keep the raccoons to somewhat of a level. That's one of the reasons we try to talk about avoiding trapping animals rather than trying to trap them all. I hope that answered your question.
It does. And thank you for what you do in the community. From
Well, thank
everything I'm hearing, and I think everybody will attest that it's working very well, this relationship, so thank you.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it. Is there anything else we can do for you? Thank you all for having me, and thank you for listening. Have a good evening.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, as far as the coyotes go, the game commission is actually, I talked to the game commissioner for our area, and he's sending some literature to the borough building on coyotes, so it should be here probably by mid.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call this meeting of Carnegie Borough Council to order. We'll begin with a moment of silence. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilperson Boyd,
Present.
Councilperson Demko,
Here.
Councilperson DeLoss,
Here.
Councilperson Covey, Councilperson Sarsfield,
Here.
Council President Katina,
Here.
Mayor Kavistik. Here, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Steve. We'll begin with the oath of office administered to Crystal Baca. Mr. Mayor?
Officer Baca, would you please come forward?
Stand right here. Please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Crystal Baca, do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this Commonwealth, the laws of this Commonwealth, and this governmental subdivision, and that I will hold, obey, and enforce the law and discharge the duties of my office with fidelity, without consideration to a person's race, color, sex, religious creed, sexual orientation, age, national origin, ancestry, handicap, or disability. As a police officer for the Borough of Carnegie, Pennsylvania. Congratulations, that's it.
We also have a proclamation this evening. And Mr. Mayor?
And I would like to, Officer Ryder, will you take some pictures of this too? Since the signal item photographer didn't show up. Oh, you're there? Okay. You wear every hat, don't you, Megan? Well, as many of you know, okay, sure. As many of you know that on Saturday, April 5th, we'll be having a Civil War Day, and I'm sure our library executive director will talk more about that. But integral to the library and the running of the GAR Thomas, the GAR post, the Captain Thomas Espy post, is the Company A 9th PA Reserves. They do so much for our community. A lot of people don't even know exactly what they do, and I could not put it all in a proclamation. But they do everything from redoing gravestones up at Chartier Cemetery, being a docent at our library, marching in parades, helping the library with all their Civil War activities. And I really believe our Civil War room would not be as prominent as it is without their help. So at this time, we'd like to, if you would like to stand up, we'd like to honor the members of the Company A 9th PA Reserve. So please stand up. They'll be easy to tell who they are, right?
Sign you up, yes.
You just signed up. Actually, when you get their name, they already signed up. Standing up signed you up. Okay. The Borough of Carnegie Certificate of Recognition and Proclamation presented on March 10, 2014 to Company A 9th PA Reserves. Whereas Company A 9th PA Reserves Civil War reenactors are dedicated to the preservation of our country's Civil War history. And whereas the members of the 9th partner with the Andrew Carnegie Free Library and Music Hall in their Civil War programming, including assisting with the library's annual Civil War Day and volunteering as docents for Captain Thomas Espy GAR post. And whereas the 9th has reset 128 Civil War and 5 World War I headstones in Chartier Cemetery and has refaced the concrete podium in front of the Civil War Monument at Chartier Cemetery. Now therefore, I, Mayor Jack Kubistik, along with Borough Council, recognize the members of Company A 9th PA Reserve Civil War reenactors for their dedication to the preservation of Civil War history and their contributions to Andrew Carnegie Free Library Espy Post, our Civil War veterans, and the Borough of Carnegie. Signed this date on March 10, 2014. Thank you.
If anybody wants to talk a little bit about what you do, and if Maggie, if you want to say anything, because I know how dear they are to you, please feel free. Mr. President?
Actually, while you're doing that, I just have to say, and we will be doing a press release about this, and please come to our April 5th event, but just recently, in addition to one of the things they have done, our Espy Post has been documented as the most intact Grand Army of the Republic post in the country, and there used to be 7,000 of them. It is unequivocally a national treasure. And many of you know, if you followed this, that before we really got involved in it, they got involved in the mid-'80s, I believe, in terms of stewardship, before we were in a position to do anything. But many things were stolen from the Borough. We still have many, many wonderful treasures there, but things were stolen. We're not trying to acquire things because the importance of the room is the intactness of the room. But the 9th has just secured 3 authentic Civil War rifles that we know are pictured in our catalog. This was a major purchase that we will be returning to the room. We'll have a very prominent place. They just continue as they're doing in the cemetery. I am so moved by this, and we couldn't do what we do without it. So, you know, I'm all for the clown guys. You're terrific.
Councilman Sarsfield, administration, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry, public comment.
Yes, please.
I was skipping over it. Any public comment? Going once. Going twice. Councilman Sarsfield.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. Motion A is motion to approve the minutes from the council meetings held on February 3rd and February 10th of 2014.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any comment? Seeing that there's no comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Motion B is a motion to approve the minutes from the special council meeting held on February 24th, 2014.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any comment?
Mr. President, if you just want to explain maybe what the meeting was.
I'll let you.
Okay. Okay. It was just a special meeting conducted, again, planning where we're at and where we're going. I thought it was a very productive meeting. The mayor, all of council had different input, and I think that, you know, moving forward this year, we have a very collaborative effort. And I mean, Carnegie's already beginning to build, and I think if we continue down the path that we're going, we're just going to get better and better. I was born and raised here, and I've become prouder of our town every day. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. We already had comment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Motion C is motion to offer conditional offer of employment to Tammy Bryan Minnie for the position of Administrative Secretary effective March 17th, 2014.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any comment?
I don't know if Steve wants to join me in any comments on this, but we have 260 applicants.
It might be a little more than 100 applicants. Yes, sir.
Okay, a little more than 100 applicants, and Steve was able to bring that down to 2 candidates, and they were both outstanding candidates. We're very fortunate, and me and Steve agreed wholeheartedly on this last candidate. I think that she's going to bring a lot of energy, her very competent person, and I think we're going to be very lucky to have her as part of our administrative staff.
Mr. President, I'd like to add that for the past, almost the past year, I would say a good 10 months, that Steve has been doing double duty, both in his old job and as the manager that we promoted him to. And we appreciate very much him doing the double duty in the absence of an assistant. And I think it's well timed that we fill this job.
I'll add just a little bit too, is that this will also free up one of the administrative assistants to provide additional assistance to our code department, which is overworked at this time, and hopefully that'll make things move a lot smoother there.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Gives me great pleasure to read this next motion, Mr. President. It is a motion to promote Officer Sean Seaman to the rank of sergeant, effective March 10th, 2014. I believe the mayor will now give the oath of office. Yeah, after the vote.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any comment?
Again, I think well-deserved. I think from Officer Seaman's beginning here at Carnegie, he always took a leadership role. He's always been willing to work with people. He's helped the newer officers. I think that this just takes Carnegie to the next level, having a great officer like this become a supervisor here.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield,
Yes.
Council President Katina.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We'll now have the swearing-in ceremony.
And I'd just like to mention, just so everyone knows, that this is a competitive, under civil service, it is a competitive test where everybody has to pass the test and has to go an interview with other specific chiefs from other departments and interview with the civil service unit to get to this point. So it is quite an achievement to get to be sergeant. It's not an easy achievement. From what I understand, the test is significantly harder than the initial test they take to be a police officer. So on that level, I think it was a lot of hard work. So congratulations on that level.
Please raise your right hand. I, Sean T. Seaman,
I, Sean T. Seaman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge my duties
and that I will discharge my duties
of sergeant
of sergeant
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
I do further solemnly swear
And further solemnly swear
that I am not knowingly a member
that I am not knowingly a member
with the specific intent
with the specific intent
to further the aims of any organization
to further the aims of any organization
that advocates
that advocates
the overthrow of the government
the overthrow of the government
of the United States
of the United States
or of this Commonwealth
or of this Commonwealth
by force or by violence
by force or by violence
or other unconstitutional means,
or other unconstitutional means,
or seeking by force or violence
or seeking by force or violence
to deny another person
to deny another person
their rights
their rights
under the Constitution of the United States
under the Constitution of the United States
or this Commonwealth.
or this Commonwealth.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will not knowingly
that I will not knowingly
become a member
become a member
with specific intent
with specific intent
to further the aims
to further the aims
of such organization
of such organization
during the period
during the period
that I am an employee of the Borough of Carnegie.
that I am an employee of the Borough of Carnegie.
That's it. Congratulations, Sergeant.
Thank you.
Did you get that off the writer?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one we want to stick a line right there. But his little girl put that on. You promise me that, Megan? Okay. Thank you. Oh, tell me that's not a cute picture.
The best picture.
It's always an honor and a privilege when we get to promote one of our own, and obviously we've been blessed over the past year. Not only have we promoted an administrative assistant to borough manager, a sergeant to a chief of police, and now an officer to sergeant. Congratulations on a well-earned promotion,
Thank you.
Sergeant.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. President, back to business. Motion E is a motion to advertise Borough Ordinance 2396, an ordinance of the Borough of Carnegie, Allegheny County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 18, Part 6 of the Borough Code of Ordinances relating to sewers and sewage disposal.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
This next motion, Mr. President, is just more housekeeping, and it's something that we need to do. But I'll read the motion as follows. Motion to adopt Resolution 2014-04, resolution of the Borough of Carnegie, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, recognizing Margaret Bowman as the tax collector of the Borough of Carnegie and requiring her to secure a bond for the collection of borough taxes.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
I have no further motions, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Sorensen.
We're looking,
I was thinking about the other motion that we potentially needed to add, but we didn't in the end. Councilman DeLoss, Finance, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion 2A, a motion to approve the March bill list and bill list addendum.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
2B, a motion to approve the purchase of a 2014 Ford Police Interceptor through the Shaycog Purchasing Alliance from Olson Wind Ford at a price of $26,685, including a 5-year, 100,000-mile premium care warranty. Less the trade-in of $10,000 in total owed on the vehicle with warranty will be $16,685.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President. Obviously, it seems like a large ticket item, to spend this money, but, it's about the safety of our officers and the safety of the community that our officers are able to ride around in safe vehicles. They need to get the calls. People's lives are often in danger when they're going to these calls, and we need to make sure that they have the safest equipment to get there.
And we'll be trading in the Charger, correct?
Correct.
That's the $10,000.
Correct.
Mr. President, both of these vehicles that you see in motions 2B and C are in the budget. They're planned for their normal rotations of older vehicles and replacing them with new ones.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing that there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
2C, a motion to approve the purchase of a 2014 Ford Police Interceptor through the Shaycog Purchasing Alliance from Olson Wind Ford at a price of $28,340, including a 5-year, 100,000-mile premium care warranty, less the trade-in of $2,000. The total owed on the vehicle with warranty will be $26,340.
And the reason why the less trade-in, that's an older police vehicle that's being traded in, worth a lot less than what the Charger was.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
2D, a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-06, a resolution of the Borough of Carnegie, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, establishing fees for the filing of park shelter and council chamber rentals.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Our fees, I've personally, my family has rented our facilities here from time to time, and we've had people from out of town join us, and believe me, they comment it all the time, looking out the windows, being able to see our downtown area. And I've been an advocate of increasing the fees because we have a nice kitchen area, a nice room, and I think that this has been a long time coming to increase the fees for what we offer here.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Just make a quick note on the refundable cleaning deposit. Well, the rental fees will be, a borough resident will be $150. Non-borough residents will be $200 for the things. And then the cleaning deposit is $50, which is very reasonable. But I would ask that Public Works and Steve keep an eye on that and see if that, at the end of the year, if that $50 was doing us, doing what it was supposed to do, keeping the park, the park pavilion clean. Thank you.
And also the rug and everything, because we do have to, from time to time, pay for the rug to be cleaned, so it is important that, whether we photograph it or whatever, that we stay on top of that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Steve, roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Public Works, Council Demko.
Motion to permit the Carnegie Youth Athletic Association to utilize the 7th Avenue Field on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. The Carnegie Park Baseball Field and All-Purpose Field, Monday through Sunday, and Chiota Fields 1 and 2, Monday through Sunday, beginning April 1st, 2014, and continuing through October 1st, 2014.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Motion to permit the Carnegie Boys and Girls Club to utilize Chiota Field every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. and 7th Avenue Field every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. from September to October 2014.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Again, I'm a big advocate of this program. It brings people from all over into our community that buy gas here, that shop here, that it's just good. It's a good program for the kids. They love it. The parents love it. It's a really worthwhile program.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing that there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Motion to permit the Carnegie Sunday Softball Association to utilize 7th Avenue Field every Sunday from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. from March 30th, 2014 to August 31st, 2014.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Motion to accept the bid submitted by Solak Construction in the amount of $145,310 for the 2014 sewer repair contract 1A excavation.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to accept the bid submitted by Tri-State Grouting in the amount of $129,733 for the 2014 sewer repair contract 1B relining.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to accept the bid submitted by Monjovi and Son Plumbing in the amount of $164,500 for the 2014 sewer repair contract 1C specialty repairs, including both the base and alternate bids.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield,
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss,
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd,
Yes.
Council President Katina.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to accept the bid submitted by Youngblood Paving Inc. in the amount of $180,332, which includes the base bid for Modern Avenue, Justice Avenue, portion of one lane of Trimble Avenue, plus the option bid for Charles Street.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. President, I would say that the council continues to be frustrated by the fact that we can't do as many streets as we need to do in town. Our engineering company has told us that to keep up with all of the roads in Carnegie would require over $500,000 a year. And we know that we just simply don't have that amount of money. So each year we go through an exercise of picking the worst of the worst streets. And it is very frustrating, and we know that the residents are frustrated, but the fact is that we simply don't have enough money in the budget to do this.
And we get, for liquid fuels money, we get approximately how much per year?
$162,000, I think, or $165 maybe, from liquid fuels. That's the money that comes from gasoline tax. And that alone is not sufficient for us to pave the streets, of course. We continue to have to look for options, as we've discussed over the last 3 to 4 years. While we are paving some brick streets, other streets, the pavement is coming off and returning to brick, and it's very frustrating. We understand that. Until we come up with a better solution, we do the worst roads that we can.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
I'd just like to add, I mean, when we make the decisions on the roads, we don't simply, I mean, it's often lengthy discussions, and it's tough if you're in a neighborhood where we didn't do your road, but believe me, we don't just make a decision off of a whim. You know, we think long and hard about it, and again, we try to do the very worst roads, and that's how we base our decision. I mean, believe me, if we had the money, we'd like to do all the roads, but the money's just not there. It's a tough decision, it's not easy, but we do try to do the most critical work roads, and that's how we base our decisions.
And just to add and expound upon that a little bit more, we had a road study actually done by our engineering company a few months ago. And the recommendation was to stay current on the roads. We would need to spend approximately $547,000 each and every year on road paving projects, which unfortunately is not a realistic number for a small borough. So we're always trying to be creative in how many roads we can get done on a yearly basis. And with liquid fuels money, it's obviously not enough, so thank you. Roll call vote, please, Steve. Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes?
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Demka?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Council President Katina? Yes. Motion passes.
Motion to accept the bid submitted by Inetti Garden Center in the amount of $8,025.37 for the Carnegie Park Rain Garden Project.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
As I understand the dog, it's going to be near the dog park, correct?
Correct.
The rate, which should help somewhat the water problem up at the dog park, although we are working on that too.
Yes, the project actually has several parts to it. One of it is to redirect the water that's coming off of the hillside near the playground, that's running down toward the dog park, to redirect that water with some paving and curbing to get it away from the dog park and to direct it to the rain garden, which is the rain garden is addressed in this motion.
Thank you.
I'd just like to thank Bob Podrigal, who got the grant for this project.
Portugal?
Portugal.
Portugal. All right, we have 3 different pronunciations. One of them is right,
And none of them look like how it's spelled.
All three could be wrong.
but he has done a great job of trying to find money for different projects in his community. And he even I did a study on where the water was running after we talked about this and after he got the grant, and was up there in the pouring down rain, filming where the water was running and how it was dispersing it through the dog park, so dispensing through the dog park. Anyway, I just want to thank Bob, that's all I'm going to say, for all that he has done. I can pronounce Bob, that's about it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Delos?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield? Yes. Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Public safety, Councilman Boyd.
Motion to adopt Borough Ordinance Number 2385, an ordinance of the Borough of Carnegie, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 1, Part 8 of the Borough Code of Ordinances and recognizing the Carnegie Volunteer Fire and Rescue Bureau as the official fire company of Carnegie Borough.
Second.
I'd like to make a comment.
Motion has been made.
Imagine that.
Now time for public comment, or public discussion.
Believe it or not. I don't comment very often, but I have two thoughts on the ordinance. 2.5-year effort on the part of Borough Council, the fire department, a couple of three attorneys, all culminated in an ordinance that not only recognizes the fire department, which by the way has been in existence for 42 years, also sets a path forward, which is probably the most important thing that this ordinance does. And it sets up a set of guidelines under which there's some things that the fire department needs to do for the borough, and there's also some things that the borough will be doing for the fire department. And I think that's, again, probably the most important thing that the ordinance does. And with that, I'll end my comments. Oh, I have one other comment. Since I'm a council person and a fireman as well, decided to buy myself an official council jacket made out of fire hose. There you have it. That's all I have to say.
Any other comment? Seems like there should be a whole lot more comment for as much time as we've put into this effort over the past 2.5 years, but I'll leave it go at that. Roll call vote, please, Steve.
We'll start with Councilperson Boyd.
Yes.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson Delos?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield? Yes. Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
It's been a long time in coming, and I'm very thankful that we're finally at this stage of the game. It's been a very tedious process, very, very tedious for all of us involved. I'm just glad it's finally over and we're going to move forward. And this is the best. This is the best for the entire town of Carnegie, and it's very actually appropriate considering the severity of the 2 fires that we've just had during the last few weeks. So God bless our firemen. So thank you.
Oh. Motion to offer employment to Ann.
Stop right there. He just wanted to.
What's that?
We're going to end the meeting right there.
No. I'm not done working yet. Motion to offer employment to Ann Rita Weissert. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Did I?
I don't know.
Ann Rita Weissert for the position of part-time school crossing guard at a salary of $25 per day with no other benefits, pending results of a physical exam.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any comment? For those of you, I'll just say something. For those of you that don't know her, Miss Rita, as she's affectionately referred to, she's the salt of the earth. She does great things for the children of the towers, so she'll be a great fit in this role when needed. So Thank you. Roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I thought I should include a little pause this time. Motion to adopt Resolution 2014-05, a resolution of the Borough of Carnegie establishing handicap parking space near 510 and 1/2 Morrow Avenue.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Community Development and Code Enforcement, says Councilwoman Covey's out. Can you read, carry on, Councilman Boyd?
Yes, sir. Motion to enter into a 5-year agreement with Scott Township to provide and maintain lighting for the Churchers Creek Bridge upon completion of the Allegheny County Bridge Restoration Project.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this item?
Mr. President, the borough is not taking ownership of the maintenance of the bridge itself, just the lighting. I think that's important that we remember that the county owns the bridge, is responsible for the maintenance, and they are not giving that up. But both the Scott Township and Carnegie thought it would be nice to have some lighting on the bridge, and we agreed to pay for that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing that there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Motion to enter into a sales agreement for the sale of the borough-owned property at Mansfield Boulevard and Broadway, also known as block and lot numbers 103-M-226, to Casa Enterprises LLC for the sales price of $350,000.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion?
Yeah, this has been a rather lengthy process in itself, Mr. President. We put it out for bid, had no bidder, had one bidder. I mean, this has been ongoing and ongoing, and I don't know if I'm at liberty to speak with the hopeful intentions and results of this it'll be, but there's obviously something in the works as far as a grocery store, and I'll refer to the mayor. Should I make mention of the potential?
I think it was in public
It was a
meeting.
public
Yeah,
meeting.
public
Yes.
meeting, so you can speak to it.
East End Co-op, which I don't know if everybody's familiar with it, but they buy all their produce from local farmers, which helps the local economy, more health, which helps all of us, gets us oriented, hopefully live longer, last longer, so we can enjoy our time longer. But I think it's a positive thing. Certainly hope that it comes to fruition. But again, this has been another long enduring process, but hopefully the end result will be great for all of us.
Thank you.
Mr. President, this contract that we're signing does have protections in it for the borough in case the intended use does not come to fruition, that the developer has 9 months to come back to us with signed documents and a construction plan. And if that is not the case, the borough has the right to rescind the agreement.
Thank you. Is there any other comment? Seeing that there's no other comment, roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Demko?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion to appoint Karen Rock to the Chartiers Valley Industrial and Commercial Development Authority to fill a vacancy with a term expiring December 31st, 2016.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. President, the Industrial Authority is the main financing arm for the CCDC, our Carnegie Community Development Corporation, and they have their own board. Ms. Rock has been active in community affairs here for a while, most recently completing a term on the library board, but she's also active in other committees, and I think it's a good fit.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Boyd,
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield,
Yes.
Councilperson DeLusk,
Yes.
Councilperson Demko,
Yes.
Council President Katina.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion to appoint Douglas T. Latterer to the Churches Valley Industrial and Commercial Development Authority to fill a vacancy with a term expiring on December 31st, 2016.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this item? Seeing that there's no discussion, roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Boyd,
Yes.
Councilperson DeLusk,
Yes.
Councilperson Demko,
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield,
Yes.
Council President Katina.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We'll have committee reports, administration, Councilman Sarsfield.
Yes, Mr. President. Just speaking with the chief, and the CPR is for Public Works is still in the works. I'm also gonna work on getting some outside private businesses some funding for the purchase of the AED machines that Public Works would like. I know they would like 2 or 3, but we can at least get one, to get them going, and then perhaps planning ahead for next year's budget, obtaining the other 2. But if I could get some private funding for at least one of those machines, I am working diligently on that. Also, later this month, I'll be beginning to take inventory of this facility and all of our facilities, so we can better manage the budget moving forward, knowing what we need to purchase each year, rather than a lot of things hitting us. I'll be looking at the police department, the administrative side, the entire building, chairs, computers, from top to bottom. That way, even beyond the lifetime of this council, future councils will have a head start in knowing, what we're looking at.
Thank
And
you.
that's all I have at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman DeLusk, Finance?
It is early in the year, of course, for a budget report, and too early to tell how we're trending for the whole year, but certainly we know that we're just completing a very difficult winter. Public Works, which is responsible for salting our streets, has expended a substantial portion of their overtime budget already. They're certainly aware of that. About 70% of their annual overtime budget they've already expended. But we expect, of course, that most of the overtime they do spend is at this time of the year. It's not in the rest of the year, it's right now. So, but this year was, of course, especially harsh. So we have to keep that in account as we move forward through the rest of the year for overtime. Also, we have not yet seen the end result of the utility bills that will be coming as a result of this difficult winter, which will also have an impact on the budget. We have a large capital item that we do need to consider, I think, and resolve in the not-too-distant future. Our machine that we use for street sweeping and collecting leaves is pretty much defunct, and we need to replace it. And that's a very expensive item, and we continue to look at options on how to finance that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And I think, Mr. President, again, don't want to speak, but I think that yourself and me may be looking at a partnering municipality possibly on that, which could defray our cost. Can't make any really promises, but hopefully things can work out.
Phil, anything for code enforcement or community development?
Not this evening.
Public Works, Councilwoman Demko.
No reports, Mayor.
Public Safety, Councilman Boyd.
Yeah, as was alluded to a little while ago, we've had in the last 10 days, the fire departments responded to 3 fires. In a normal month, we'll have 20 calls, 22 calls, somewhere around there on average across the year. It's extremely unusual for there to be 3 fires in a span of a 10-day period of time. 2 of the fires were extremely bad, where the families that lived there had students, had kids that were students at Carleton High School, and they lost their homes. And it's very, very sad for me to see this happen to people. The other fire was at one of our favorite places to visit, us being the fire department, that's Carnegie Towers. A couch caught on fire. The only thing that's unusual about that is that it was an actual fire. Typically we get called there. I think I pointed out to council very recently here that we had 62 calls to Carnegie Towers last year, and fully 30 of them were false alarms. Others borderline. And then there's the calls that we call bad cook calls. There was about a dozen of those last year as well. And I've asked our attorney to look at updating our nuisance ordinance, if you will, and make some suggestions to us on ways that we could perhaps motivate the good folks at Carnegie Towers to either update their systems or make some reparations and make some changes, make a difference, if you will, on the rapidity or decreasing the rapidity at which we need to respond to that particular building. If we can go back to the first 2 fires again, I believe Mayor Jack has worked with the good folks at the Salvation Army, and Salvation Army is going to help us create a fund where people can make donations to help these folks get back on their feet. And I'll look forward to participating in that, and we'll get that information out to the good folks at the signal item when it's all finalized, and go from there. And
I can give you a little update on if you want.
do you have that now, Jack?
Yeah, the Salvation Army, that's still being set. We actually have a meeting with them tomorrow at 3. The school district, working closely with the school district for a spaghetti dinner, which will happen at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. And that'll be on the 23rd of this month, March 23rd. Once again, we have a meeting tomorrow at 3 to finalize the times on that, but it'll be afternoon times on a Sunday afternoon. And so those are the 2 things that are in works right now. The school has been fantastic in providing a lot of assistance. The Salvation Army Fund, if we go this route, and we'll take a look at it tomorrow, will be a fund that we can designate it towards a fire and flood disaster, and if there's any money left over, that'll stay strictly in Carnegie for fire and flood disasters for any family that experiences that. So it's a fund that will continue, not just for these 2 families, which have been devastated, but it will continue for other families if there's money left over. So that's the initial of it, and I'll have full details of it after 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Thanks for filling in on that, Jack. I appreciate that very much. Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. I don't have a report this evening. Manager's report?
Just one thing that I wanted to talk about, a lot of council members already talked about the new hire for administration. It was definitely difficult going through the process with all the applicants, but I think the team is going to be a great fit for us, and I I think that she's going to bring a lot of things that we may be lacking right now, so I'm really looking forward to that. One more thing that I have right now, Councilperson Sarsfield had brought up over the past couple of months a grant program for converting all the traffic lights, stop lights, crosswalks, things like that to LED. So that's something that's going to be due here at the beginning of April. So hopefully that'll help us out with, updating some of the old equipment that we have and helping us with some of the future maintenance. So that's something that I'm working on at the moment, and that's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Phil, do you have any report for the fire department?
Yes. Should be right here. We're in arrears for reporting January's numbers. I have those now. There were 33 calls in January for the fire department and 122 calls for EMS in January. February, we had 12 fire calls and 144 EMS calls.
Thank you. Junior counsel?
This year's musical for Bishop Cannon is The Drowsy Chaperone. It's on April 11th and 12th at 8 at Cannon. And then Carnegie Performing Arts Center is doing Peter Pan this year at the Carnegie Free Library on March 21st, 22nd at 8, and then 23rd at 2. And then the Bishop Cannon hockey team is in the second round of playoffs, and the games will be tomorrow.
One more thing. What part do you have in Peter Pan?
I got lead, Sarah Van, and then it's like Red Dawn Fair or something like that. I forget what fair it is. There's like 4 of them.
Wow. Well, break a leg.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Covington Junior Senior High School presents this year's musical, The Wizard of Oz. Shows begin Thursday, April 10th, and will continue through to the 13th in the high school auditorium, so there's 4 chances to catch a show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Here are the numbers for February from our department. Criminal arrests and citations were 17. Parking tickets were 61. Traffic citations number 43. Complaints and self-initiated activity were 875. A couple events the department wants you to know about. You may have seen something on the news, but on March 7th, around 2 a.m., one of our officers noticed a vehicle at Carnegie Towers entering the wrong way. The officer, which was nice about this, the officer was out patrolling. That's what they're supposed to do, but this is, he's out patrolling and watching our neighborhoods at 2 a.m. in the morning, which is fantastic. Noticed this vehicle going the wrong way in the driveway up at Carnegie Towers, put his lights on, tried to pull him over, and the vehicle fled. He followed the vehicle, making sure that speeds remained safe, witnessed the vehicle throwing out items. Other departments came and helped. We were able to recover from other departments, Scott Township and Heidelberg, recover items of a weapon and drugs. And then the pursuit continued for quite a while, ended up 24 miles away in Avella, where Cecil Township Police threw out spike strips, and we were able to make the arrests. There were also drugs and money found in the vehicle. Really want to commend all the departments for their assistance, and especially Officer Quattro for an excellent job of noticing the violation and handling the chase in a very professional manner. And I really think he did a fantastic job in this situation. Recently, a resident purchased a car on Craigslist. Unfortunately, the resident sent the money, wired the money to the person, and they didn't get the car, and the car was never shipped. our police department just wants to make sure that the caution residents that do not wire money anywhere unless you absolutely are sure of the seller and the reputation. And they also want to make note that Craigslist is not always, the sellers on Craigslist aren't always verified, and so you have to be very careful. And they also recommend using a very secure way for paying for these vehicles. It's real easy, especially with the internet nowadays, to get involved in a scam. So you have to make sure that you know where your money's going and send it in a way that's protected. I'd like to mention, we've talked a little bit about the lights. Councilman Sarsfield talked about a grant for the lights, and we've talked about the liquid fuel funds. All of those are part of the new transportation bill. But I also want to make note of another part of the new transportation bill that I believe will really have an adverse effect on the way we do business here in the community. There was an increase on a lot of the fees for speeding and other areas, and one of the increases for violations was something for violating failure to obey authorized traffic devices, which would be violating stop signs, would be violating red lights, signals. And it used to be that when you would violate those, the fee would be $25. $25 would be the fine. They would tack on another $20 and that went to other organizations, and it was a $45 fine. $12.50 would go to the borough, $12.50 would go to the state. Now they raised that violation to $150. There's still $20 extra fee, so the total violation is $170. Unfortunately, only $12.50 is what comes back to the borough. The rest of it, $137.50, goes to the state for funding of the transportation bill. And well, that doesn't seem like that much, but what happens is, and what the officers in our department have been concerned about, is when they write tickets for this type of a violation, $45 was not that big of a deal for most people, and they wouldn't file to go to the magistrate, just pay the fine. We would get $12.50, and all we were out is the officer's time to write the ticket. Most likely now, with the fine being $170, the officers expect that many of the individuals will now take the ticket to the magistrate, which means that we have to pay at least 2 hours of overtime for an officer to go to the magistrate. So while we will continue to write these tickets, we will not hold back. It has, with these type of numbers, it's just financially, it's impossible financially for us to stay ahead of the curve on situations like this. I mean, you take in, for $12.50, we could have an outlay of anywhere from $150 to $200 for a single ticket. So it just doesn't make much sense. I wish they would have put a little more thought into that. And but we will continue to enforce it. But it's not a. We don't ever want to use it as a revenue. We don't ever want to use tickets as a revenue, and that's not what we're trying to do. But we definitely don't want to lose money when we write tickets. That's something that's not good for any municipality. So that's. I don't know. They're not going to touch the transportation bill was so hard to get passed. They're not going to touch that. I don't think so. Well, we can, but I've mentioned it a few times. So, Councilman Boyd mentioned the 3 fires we had. He said in 10 days. Actually, it was 3 fires in a 1-week period. It was actually 7 days. Thursday to Thursday. It was really a tragic series of events there. I really do want to commend our fire department and all the other fire departments that participated. In one of the fires, we did have 1 injury or 2 injuries, if you want to count. One injury with a fireman that got hit in the face with a hose. It was from Glendale. I called the chief of Glendale, and that person is just fine. He was up and running the next day. So, but thankfully, while as tragic these events were, thankfully that there were no firemen injured, and thankfully there were no losses of life. It's going to be hard to rebuild their lives, but at least they have a life to rebuild, and we'll do everything we can as a community. I know everybody up here feels the same way. We'll do everything we can as a community to help them rebuild their lives. That's one great thing about being in a small town. I can't tell you how many people have contacted the school, contacted me, contacted the families to try to help, and it's really heartwarming because Carnegie Borough, when they're down, they rally and they come back. So it was it was a horrible experience, but it was nice to watch everybody out there helping people. We have a dinner this week. It's the Elks. The Carnegie Elks are still alive and well. They'll be donating $500 to our police department, $500 to our fire department, and donating money to the library. I think they have four organizations they're donating to. So every year they do this. They have a dinner and they donate to different community organizations, and it's a substantial amount. And so we thank it's at the Polish White Eagles. So we thank the Carnegie Elks for their continued support for all the organizations in the community. 120th anniversary. We're right on schedule. I can't thank Maggie Forbes, who I can't see right now because of things in front of me. Can't thank her enough for all that she's done for this. I can't thank Dan McGrogan enough for all that they've done. It's the event is well on its way to being a success. We have a lot of sponsors, including Rick DeLoss up here. We have a number of tickets already sold, and there's still tickets available. So if anybody's interested, for $30, you can see Joe Negri, and you help us honor what probably is a Carnegie legend, Marcella McGrogan, all that she's done for the history of this town. So I think it'll be an enjoyable evening. The one thing I do want to say is that the tree planting, from what I understand, is scheduled for April 5th. Anybody's interested. And I also want to mention that kindergarten registration for Carnegie Elementary is April 4th. So anybody who has a kindergarten, you're supposed to go on April 4th during school hours and register. Anybody who has someone who will be going into kindergarten and register at Carnegie Elementary. That's all I have today, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. Any general public comment?
I'm going to refrain.
That's a first. You're saving it all for later in the month, aren't you? Any comment? Seeing that there's no comment, Council Good and Welfare, we'll begin with Councilwoman Demko.
Just happy St. Patty's Day to everybody.
Thank you. Councilman DeLoss.
We continue to say our prayers for Councilwoman Covey, who's struggling with some health issues now for several months. Obviously, she's been absent from the last 3 council meetings, but we continue to wish her well and hope for a full recovery, which is anticipated, and hope to see her back soon.
Thank you. Councilman Boyd.
I have no comments, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Sarsfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to send out an Irish blessing, especially to our newly sworn in police officer, and it says, "May God be with you and bless you. May you live to see your children's children. May you be poor in misfortune and rich in blessings. May you know nothing but happiness from this day forward."
Thank you.
Very welcome. And God bless to you and to everybody, and everybody have a happy and safe, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you. And happy St. Patrick's Day as well. Any motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.